Now let's discuss the Surangama Sutra. Ananda then rose from his seat, bowed to the Buddha with palms joined, knelt down on both knees and said, "Lord Honored One, if the seeing and hearing truly is non-arising and non-ceasing, then why does the Lord Honored One say that beings like us have lost our true nature and behave in an inverted way? I pray that your great compassion will cleanse me of my defilements." So Ananda, hearing Sakyamuni Buddha talk about the water of the Ganges River, that the seeing nature is non-arising and non-ceasing, the water that was seen at 3 and at 62 stayed the same. So that's the non-ceasing of the seeing nature. So what you see does not change. That's the wondrous, luminous, true mind. And upon hearing that, he had questions. He had so many questions. We humans have lost our true nature and act in an inverted way. So please cleanse me of my defilements. Please clarify. We act in an inverted way. Because Sakyamuni Buddha was talking about the seeing nature of King Prasenajit that's non-arising and non-ceasing. So it should be the same with us, right? Non-arising and non-ceasing. But why did you say we act in an inverted way? Immediately, the Tathagata lowered his golden arm with the wheel mark fingers pointing downward and asked, "Do you see my mudra-hand? Is it upward or inverted?" So let's just say like this. Do you see my hand that's forming a mudra? Is it upright or inverted? And Ananda said, all the worldly beings would say it's inverted or upturned. But as for me, I don't know. So all sentient beings would know that it is upturned. But I don't know what is upright and what is upturned. So the Buddha told Ananda, if the people of the world take this as inverted, then what would they consider as upright? When the Tathagata raises his arm and points upward to the sky with his soft cotton-like hand, that is called upright. So if you move your inverted hand upward, then that would be upright, and this one is inverted. So Ananda said, if it's pointing upward, that's upright, and if it's pointing downward, that's upturned. So soft cotton-like hand, like a kind of very fine cotton, fine soft cotton, to indicate that his hand is very soft. And he formed a mudra with his hand. So if you point to the sky, that's upright. If you point downward, that's inverted or upturned. Then Sakyamuni Buddha raised his arm and pointing upward and told Ananda, if this inversion where top and bottom are switched causes all worldly people to look again, then carefully observe your body and the bodies of all the Buddhas, which are pure and radiant Dharma bodies. The body of the Tathagatas is perfect and all-knowing, while your body is inverted in nature. Now closely examine your body and the Buddha's body. Where exactly can the name inverted be applied, and what part should be labeled inversion? That's a very lengthy wording. Simply explain. Everybody thinks that's upright, this is this is downward, this is inverted. And then Sakyamuni Buddha said, let's just use this as an analogy, as a comparison. Sakyamuni Buddha's body is the pure Dharma body. There is no such things as inversion, as being inverted or upturned. There is no such things as upright and inverted. And Sakyamuni Buddha is the correct, omnipresent and anuttara samyak sambodhi, enlightened. And sentient beings are deluded. And deluded at what? At that this is pointing like this is upright, pointing like this is inverted. And those are completely irrelevant to the wondrous, luminous, true mind of the Tathagata. You're just being deluded or worrying about that this is upright and this is downward. That's why Sakyamuni Buddha said that all of you humans are all inverted or upside down. Sakyamuni Buddha's body is the Tathagata Dharma body. There is no such thing as inversion. That's omnipresent. But sentient beings are led by what they see, deluded by the sight. And then, because of the delusion, they act in an inverted way. Let me give you an example. The Vimalakirti, great master, can go to the gambling parlor. Why? Because he went to the gambling parlor to deliver sentient beings, not to gamble. Because he's enlightened. He's the enlightened one. He can go anywhere. He can go to the casino. He can go to the brothel, to the prostitution house. It's not that he is attracted by the prostitutes, but to salvage or deliver the deluded sentient beings. That's why he could go there. He could have a business and career, but not deluded by wealth. Then of course he can. He earned a lot of money. So wealth, sex, sensual pleasure, and fame cannot touch him at all, cannot delude him. He can go to all realms in the 10 directions. But beginner bodhisattvas, those who started their spiritual cultivation, don't have enough meditative stability. They cannot do those, because once you do those, you become deluded, become obsessed by them, and then you become inverted. Sakyamuni Buddha said, there's a book called The Finger Pointing at the Moon. So, teaching you to look at the moon, not to look at the finger. But the deluded sentient beings are paying attention to the finger. But I'm teaching you to look at the moon, to look at the wondrous, luminous, true mind, not asking you to look at my finger, whether this is pointing upward or downward. There is a Zen Buddhist that's called pointing to the finger. Pointing to the moon. Pointing to the moon. To ask you to look at the wondrous, luminous, true mind, not paying to the finger. That's why people in the world are all upside down, topsy-turvy. But the true bodies of the Tathagatas are not upside down. That's the primary meaning here. That the Tathagata is the omniscient, perfect and all-knowing. That's anuttara samyak sambodhi, the right equality and right realization. They're omniscient. They know everything. They know about everything. That's enlightened. That's enlightenment. Once anyone that has gained enlightenment can go anywhere. They have enough meditative stability. Like the great master Vimalakirti, he can go anywhere. If you don't have enough meditative stability, then you have to abide by the precepts. That's why the Vimalakirti Sutra, it mentioned that wealth, sex, and fame, anger, lust, and ignorance, and delusion, they are all Buddha Dharma. Because if you are not deluded by them, you're enlightened. You will not be deluded by them. But if you're still deluded, then you have to abide by the precepts. If you still have any delusion, you have to abide by the precepts. That's all. So the spiritual cultivation of arhats, generally they don't deliver sentient beings, but they abide by the precepts, like Mahakashyapa. He also abide by the precepts in his diet. He ate the lowest kind of food. He does not strive for taste. What is tasty, what is not tasty. That's not in his book. He eats anything that's the worst kind, and before taking it, he even visualized it is poo. So he ate poo. He drank pee. So he truly abided by the precepts. So he took the food to be poop and the drinks to be pee. So he did not strive for the sight, smell, taste, and touch. He did not touch any money because he abided by the precepts not to be greedy toward money. So when you see a woman, then you should not see her face or her eyes. You have to look down, because as soon as you see the eyes, you would be electrified and numb all over your body, and then at night you start having hallucination, and then you're starting to have lust. So those who abide by the precepts are arhats. They don't look at women, they look at the ground. When they speak to a woman, it's never over 5 sentences. They only speak 3 or 4, or just a few words, 3 or 4 sentences, just a few words. Just saying the key points and nothing else. They always look down to the ground and not allowed to look at her eyes or her body. That's abidance by the precepts and have attainment through this. If you have attainment through this practice, you're an arhat. An arhat has to abide by the precepts. But Mahayana monks, because you have some realizations, you're not deluded, then you can. If you're still deluded, then you are not qualified to practice Mahayana Dharma. So, so-called everything is just in between delusion and enlightenment. Are you still under delusion, or are you already enlightened? You need to be clear about it yourself. If you still have delusion and have not seen your own wondrous, luminous, true mind, but if you're immovable, you can go anywhere and you can do anything. That's enlightened. But if you're still under delusion, you have to abide by the precepts. That's the simple analogy. That's what this part is talking about. So Sakyamuni Buddha uses this analogy. Look at my hand. This is upright and this is inverted. And everybody believes that. But actually, the wondrous, luminous, true mind is immovable. There is no such thing as being upright or upturned. But sentient beings are all upside down. That's why they're all just guests. Only those that are unmoved are called the hosts. If your heart is unmoved, you can go anywhere. But if your mind and heart is or are moved, then you're deluded. So Sakyamuni Buddha already talked about it very clearly. The host of the inn does not move, but the guests, the travelers, only stay for the night, and then the next day they leave. So you need to be clear who's the host, who's the guest, and what is delusion, what is enlightenment. So the koan, or the teaching of pointing to the moon, is not asking you to look at the finger, but to look at the moon.
所以他这里讲了这个告阿难言：若此颠倒，首尾互换，诸世间人一被瞻视，则知拟身以诸如来清净法身，异类化如来之身，名正偏知。
The Buddha raised his arm and said, if this inversion where the top and bottom are switched causes all worldly people to look again, then carefully observe your body and the bodies of the Buddhas, which are pure and radiant Dharma bodies. The body of the Tathagatas is called perfect and all-knowing, while your body is inverted in nature. Although your body is the same as the body of the Buddha, but yours is inverted, and the Buddha's is enlightened. That's the Tathagata Dharma body. The wondrous, radiant, true mind is the host and upright. So everything we see by the sentient beings in the Saha will see are all inverted. They are deluded by everything in the world. That's why they are inverted, upside down. You know, even the appearance you cannot maintain. And wealth or money, doesn't matter how much you earn, your two hands are empty. And the appearance will age, and fame, what use is that for you? The fame is also fake. Look at those to become presidents. If Xiaoming is not obedient, we would ask him to become a Korean president, and then he would know how unfortunate that is. Because almost all Korean presidents are either imprisoned or committed suicide. And there were two with the family named Lu Wuxian, Lu Tai. I think one of them was imprisoned, the other one killed themselves by jumping into the ocean. They were both presidents. They were all presidents. They are also pitiful. Really, only the unfortunate ones become presidents there. It's better just to be a commoner, to live your lives peacefully and stably. All sentient beings are upside down. So Sakyamuni Buddha is enlightened. Vimalakirti, which is the Jinli Tathagata, is also enlightened. He could go anywhere with great self-mastery and freedom, and the world, sensual pleasures and fame come and go. So what is inversion and what is upright? Sakyamuni Buddha used this analogy. And this is upright and this is upside down. He used his finger, but you're inverted, so that's not the case anymore. And then the next piece, you can read on your own. What I just talked about is to explain that. So at that time, Ananda in the assembly stared at the Buddha. So stared blankly at the Buddha, confused and unaware of the inverted state of body and mind. And the Buddha, moved by compassion toward Ananda and all the people, like a voice, like the ocean tide, so that everybody can hear. He said, all good men, I often say everything that your eyes see, what you hear, what they're all inverted. You're deluded by all the images outside you. So that's the mind due to the causes and conditions. Then you generate discernment. So they're all created by your mind. So everything under the earth, under the heaven, is created by the mind. Your body and mind are actually appeared from the wondrous, luminous, true mind. But why did you lose this wondrous, luminous, true mind and mistake this inner clarity and mistake the illusion for the reality? Like you think you're enlightened, but actually you're not. You're still deluded. And you take murkiness for emptiness, darkness for form, and conceptual illusions for the self. So your body is made up from the four elements, the earth, water, fire, and wind. So all kinds of sights and external phenomena that form your body, but you're ever moving, you're never still. And you think all the external phenomena, the shadows of illusion, so you see the external images and all the actions and all chaotic, and you mistake them to be the nature of your mind, to be the mind. So the mind has been deluded, and you firmly believe that it resides within the physical body. You think that the body is real. You're unaware that this physical body and everything outside, the mountains, rivers, space, and the earth, are nothing but appearances within the wondrous, luminous true mind. So you throw away all the ocean and you're just a bubble, and yet you believe that the bubble is the great ocean. So you think the bubble is real, that it's the same as the great ocean. So in this way, you are deluded. So that's no difference as my finger pointing up or down, inverted. So everybody is upside down, being deluded by images, external images, by your own, and you don't recognize the wondrous, luminous, true mind. So this is talking about delusion versus enlightenment. So once you're enlightened, your heart mind is unmoved, is immovable. So if you're enlightened, the rocks at my home, gold. And gold is also rocks. So once you're enlightened, that's the case. But before enlightened, gold is gold, and the stone is a stone. Then you would love gold and throw away the rock. That's the difference. Once you're enlightened, you would find everything doesn't matter. That's the book that I wrote before, the philosophy of I don't care. Everything is the best arrangement. Don't you think so? What use is gaining something? And then if you lose it, so what? You don't have the mindset for gaining or losing. Or gaining and losing doesn't matter to you. So as a sadhaka, spiritual cultivator, you need to understand. The drinker, if you are obsessed with the drink, the alcohol, then you would become a drunkard, and then whatever you do is upside down. But if you drink and you're very clear and you're not confused or deluded by it, then it's okay for you to drink. But after drinking, you're upside down. And you're not upside down if you don't drink, then it's still best for you not to drink. Some people can drink because they would never be controlled by the alcohol. That's why it's fine for them. But if you're controlled by the alcohol, then you cannot drink. So one is delusion, one is enlightenment. So the lay Buddhist Vimalakirti can go to the brothel, go to the gambling parlor, he can go to anywhere to deliver sentient beings. That's to deliver sentient beings. Those sentient beings are amidst delusion, as they still differentiate which ones are spiritual centers and which ones are not. There was a great master asked, "Where are you from?" "I'm from a spiritual center." And Vimalakirti said, "Where is there a place that's not spiritual center?" "Straight mind is the spiritual center. Everywhere is a spiritual center." What is Buddha Dharma? Everything is Buddha Dharma. The enlightened one would know everything is Buddha Dharma. Wealth, sex, fame, rage, lust, delusion are all Buddha Dharma. That's for the enlightened one. But before enlightenment, they differentiate those. So a truly wealthy person is the one who owns the whole sky, the whole cosmic space. That would be the true wealthy person. If you study Buddhism, then you would own the whole cosmic space. If you are amidst enlightenment, then you own everything. But if you are deluded, the so-called wealth is just rocks and stones.